right, we are live.
Yay.
It is Friday.
Yay.
So excited.
Awesome, awesome.
Gonna do my share. Got my... Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. Turn your volume down.
Sorry. So, gotta spell it right. All right. Let's wait for some people to join in.
Okay, so I've already shared mine. So if you're not following Elev8, you should see that I am
Live.
Live.
Oh, people are coming in. Hello.
Good evening,
Hello.
good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. Thank you for joining. Please hit that share button.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. Come on in. Give us about 35 seconds or less. And we're going to jump right in. We're going to shake off these last few butterflies that might be there.
It's so weird. I don't even have the butterflies anymore.
Oh, good.
Well, good for you.
That's just peachy.
Show off.
I shake them off on the Beltway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's had a nice little, how many hours in between work and now? About 2.5.
About 2.
Mm.
I still was getting emails when I was leaving. So
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, I lost my comments. Okay, there we go. Hello, hello. I see Brittany. I see Sharon Fletcher.
Hey.
I feel like Romper Room. I see Sharon. I see Brittany.
wow, happy Friday.
Happy Friday if you're just coming in. Hi, Vicky. All right, all right, all right. Tonight is guaranteed to be a good show. Yes, indeed.
It is. I'm so excited.
I am too. I don't really want to waste like any more time. We have prayed, we have chit-chatted. We've been having a whole show and conversation without y'all. So we just going to invite y'all on in and get on with our topic of discussion for tonight. So you kicking us off, Miss Producer?
I mean, I can, but I think you should introduce your special guest.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that part.
I'm so excited to welcome everybody into the Diva Den. It is Friday. It is Friday. I think this is the first Friday I've had in a while, so I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Yay.
And I've been looking forward to this show since we planned it, and I'm glad our guest said yes. So
Me too.
Let's jump to it.
All right, all right. Well, welcome again. Happy Friday again. Hello to my producer, Maya Alexander. I am Rose Godlock, your host of the Diva Den. And to my immediate left is Lovera Manning.
Hey.
Hello, Lovera.
Hey.
Welcome to the Diva Den.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you for saying yes.
Oh, of course.
And then to her left is Anna Florence.
Hey, everybody.
Anna
So
Boo in
excited.
the house. Thank
So
you, thank you,
excited.
thank you for coming. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you both for trusting me and trusting the Diva Den. So we're going to jump right on in. So what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about millennial motherhood. What's this all about? So in case you all are wondering out there in Facebook land, how, I landed these two in the den tonight. I literally, we were talking about our shows and lining them up, because we are trying to be proactive and get stuff going. I'm still learning, in all of this. So I said, well, let me just start thinking about how we want to do the show, what the format's going to be like. So then Maya said, I think each month we should have a theme. And so as we're laying out the May theme, which is motherhood, we're talking all things, about mothering this month and all the different, ways that we mother. So I said, well, you know what? I think I want to talk to some modern mommies. I want to talk to some mommies of today that are probably doing things a little bit differently. Maybe not. We'll find out then, how I did things, with a certain someone. And so I said, you know what? I think I want Lovera and I think I want Anna to come in because I just love y'all. And I think y'all are doing a great job. Y'all are awesome mommies, and I just wanted to share y'all with the world, because I don't think people know a lot about either one of you in some regards, so we're going to let them in on just a few of your secrets, just a few. And so that's how we landed here. I'm always seeking God as to how he wants me to do this. And again, I'm still learning. I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. But I'm like, God, who do you want to come into the Diva Den? And he laid y'all on my heart. So that's why you're here. Yay. Yay. So I'm surrounded by millennials tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, because Mrs. Alexander, and y'all are all, we're covering without giving everybody's age, because I was fussed
you
at
put
last
me out
week.
there like every show.
But you're different because you're mine, so I can kind of say that. But we have the 20s and 30s, and not 30, 20s, and 30s. How about that?
Why'd you go high?
So we have a broad spectrum here. And I don't know, I might just end up sitting back and letting y'all have it, and I just, see what y'all want to talk about. So who wants to go first and introduce? I think I already know who's going to go first, but who wants to go first and just give your own little version of your introduction of who you are?
Okay, Anna, I'll go first. Great.
That wasn't predictable.
Yeah, right. The look in Anna's eyes was like, I
felt
already know who's going first.
I felt it. So
You felt that heat on your neck.
I did.
We are family. It's going to be okay, Anna. It's going to be okay.
Well, I'm Lovera Manning, and I am the proud wife of an amazing man, Bobby Manning, and the proud mama of 3 baby cubs. They're not babies anymore. Wah. But 3 little cubs, all boys. Levi is 10, Reuben is 8, and Joseph is 5. And I used to be a working mom. I used to work part-time when I had Levi. But then God transitioned our employment, and my husband became the pastor of the First Baptist Church of District Heights. And so, whoop, 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 the Heights. The Heights. And so I became a homemaker full-time. And also within the past, I guess it's been 2 years now, a homeschooler. Pray for your sister, please. Pray for me in Jesus' name. But it's been an amazing experience. Me and my husband, we talk a lot, just how that was one of the best decisions that we made as a family. Is to educate our children for more than one reason. We have a myriad of reasons, but just to have them at home and to be able to educate them in the way that they learn, and to be able to give them that individual attention and the flexibility of it, and just all that comes, all the primarily good things that come with being able to, the privilege of being able to homeschool your children. But it's a lot. And our boys are very different individuals and very different learners, but that's a little bit about me. We'll dive in more, I'm sure.
Anna's like, no, say some more stuff.
Going, girl.
She's like, girl, it's a whole lot more to you. You just take your time.
We'll get into that later.
Right. Because we have a few minutes here. So, Miss Anna, is there anything you would like us to know about you?
Well, I am Anna Florence, and I am a wife to an amazing husband. He's so great, Mr. Brian Florence. He's awesome. And we have 3 children as well.
I don't know if I like that number.
Girl, oh my goodness.
It's a magical number.
A magical number. We have 3 children as well. Our oldest is 15.
Wow.
And then we have a huge gap. Our youngest 2, we have a 15-year-old girl, a 18-month-old girl, and then a 7-month-old baby boy.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh my God, yes,
The
Lord,
whole
right
entire
now.
car.
Take it, the whole, take the control. Yes. But it's just so awesome. And it's kind of surreal. As a kid, I never thought I would grow up. Like, I kind of always thought I would be a kid. You know, you want to grow up, but I always thought I would be a kid. And now kind of being an adult and taking on that adult role is just like, what in the world? Like, why was I so pressed to grow up?
Right, so
My goodness.
pressed,
I wish I could be a kid again. But, you know, life is great. It's awesome. I love my children. I love being a mom, with the challenges, with the great things. I'm a working mom, so, you know, that's challenging being a working mom. But it's just the day-to-day lessons you learn, the experiences that kind of ground you a little bit. I love it. So, you know, right now I'm loving life. I don't know if there's anything else y'all want to know about me. I don't know if I covered everything.
Well, and you know, honestly, as we share and as we have our conversation and we're letting y'all listen in, you can drop your questions or comments into the box here, and we will see them. We are watching as well. And so if there's something...
am I giving my thing?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know. Go ahead. If there's something.
If there's something that you want to know, you want to share, we are in the comments, honey child. So
yes, always.
Please, you are a part of the conversation. You all are in the Diva Den as well. So Maya Alexander, is there anything you would like to share about yourself?
Yeah, I think that we didn't really introduce me like personally when we did the show. So I am mommy of one rambunctious, almost 3-year-old. I think rambunctious is a good word. You spend most of the day with him.
That's a good word.
Yeah. So we're in the trying phase of being a toddler. That's a good word too. So a
lot of good words.
Yeah.
Positive. Speak positivity.
I am a working mother as well. I have been working for, I guess, all of his. I stayed home with him for some of my maternity leave, and then I went right back to work. So there was no gap. I've never been down with him. I've never kind of indulged in him as a child for an extended period of time. So that's an interesting dynamic, I think. And of course, you take care of him during the day, so my anxiety is minimal.
Oh, amen.
For that. Yes.
And while I do want more children, we want more children. I don't know if 3 is that number, so we'll leave it at that.
I'm not feeling the Lord. Let me say, Lord, did you say does Gigi get a vote?
But once you have 3, don't you feel like you could have like 20?
No, ma'am.
I feel like that. Like I'm like 3 was very hard, that transition to 3.
Yeah, and it happened so fast. But it happened so fast for me, that transition to 3. My goodness. I think it might need to end at 3 for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, you know, it's like I get to enjoy, you know, now all of the younger women in my life, if the Lord so chooses to bless y'all womb, and I get to now be on the outside looking in because I just have, you know, the 1 here on earth, 2 in heaven. But she felt like 3 a lot growing up. I always say I still got my 3 because I think her 2 siblings in heaven is like giving her some stuff.
Right, some energy.
They're like, here, take this and give mama that and give daddy this. And so sometimes she felt like 3. Now most days she feels like 2 and sometimes even 1, you know. But one thing that I was thinking about, you know, as I'm watching the younger moms, you know, now and kind of the way things are being done, I see a little bit of difference, but I don't think it's as much as people think that it is. Do you all think that how you mother is vastly different from how you were mothered? Do you see a change?
No, I don't. I am totally a baby version of Trina Jenkins.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm sitting here like, don't say it.
But
Don't
you
say
know, I decided I should just embrace it.
Because you can't run from the child. It's on you.
So I step back and laugh at myself when I'm mothering my kids, you know, because my 18-month-old, she is just... I mean, she is a precious little thing, that thing.
Look at you, your little precious. Aren't you precious? Burning down the house. You just precious. Right.
And, you know, even like the way my mom disciplined us as kids, we kind of always joked about that, how nobody took her serious because she was so sweet about it. But I found myself doing the same thing with my children. Like, Riley, no, ma'am, you may not put your hand on the stove, okay? We're not going to do that. instead of like, get over here. You know what I mean? Like, just talking to her is so sweet, even though she's looking at me and she still does what she wants to do. But just trying to be a little stern with her, but just in such a calm voice. And my mom was always like that with us. Just so now, if she got riled up, then you knew if her voice kind of escalated.
Oh, you better run for the hills.
It was serious business.
Because I think I have experienced that. We're not going to call one of your brothers out by name, but he's quite famous for a few people experiencing that climb. And that when that wall was hit, it was like, now look. And everybody in the room would turn like,
yeah, we don't have to call Jimmy by name.
I
would never. We joke in our family and say we have a Jimmy in our family.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So we won't call Ruben by his name.
Right. Never. We will never throw the children or the siblings or the husbands under the bus. So what do you think? Do you think you're like your mom, or do you think you're different than?
I think I have a lot of her traits, but I think I'm different in the sense of affection. I'm very affectionate with our boys, and she's affectionate too, but you get your hug and then we're good, but I'm just
like a little dab will do
right,
you.
exactly. right. So I'm very affectionate with our boys, and then also but we're similar in the sense of my mom is a straight mama bear. Like, she will go to bat, for you in a heartbeat, like a true mama bear. Okay. And I can be strong and wrong, but then she'll, defend me publicly, and then go back, in the background, she'll be like, now, you shouldn't have did that, right? And so I feel like I'm the same way. I watch how people look at our boys and interact with them while they're being rambunctious or whatever they're doing, and I have to tame the mama bear, sometimes, but and just try to let them figure it out and be okay if people just kind of look at them a certain way. But
right.
So I think in those ways, the mama bear, and then also just from day one when they were babies, I just talked to them kind of like they were adults, in the sense like we were never, goo goo gaga, or look at the little baby. It's like, no, it's like, okay, oh, you want to eat? Okay, well, you have to stop crying, and then I'll give you, or just whatever it was. Like, I just, and my mom is definitely, like that, just kind of to the point, not really about the mushy, and, so I find myself raising the boys very similarly in that aspect.
What do you think, Maya? Are you like your mama?
I think I have a lot. Well, naturally, I am a clone. So my personality, growing up, it was always, you look like your father, but you act just like your mother. And so I think naturally, I do tend to follow in your footsteps. However, I think that I have tweaked some things, or intend to tweak some things. I'll say that.
Oh, when it comes to your mothering style?
Yes.
Okay, I need an example. This is good. So how we were talking about, it's a good thing, like when your husbands are having conversations with people and you find out stuff. It's like, oh, tell me how you really feel.
Right.
So, Mrs. Alexander, for example.
It's different because that
doesn't mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. No. I'm just curious now.
Yeah, I have a different child. So me as a child, I was very independent. I was very self-motivated, self-driven. And so
like,
you
she
really
didn't need us, basically.
Yeah, like,
that's
you
what
didn't have to really step in a lot. You didn't really have to do a lot. But I don't think Rookie is going to be that child to a certain degree. Like, he can easily be a mama's boy because I'll do everything for him. But he also doesn't necessarily do everything. Like, at this age, he isn't like cleaning up himself. So it's kind of like I'm enforcing that a little bit more. I think there's some things that I'm kind of staying on top of more so with him. And like, I didn't have a set chore list, and if I didn't do my chores, I got in trouble. Like, it wasn't that kind of thing. But I did it.
You had some chores.
I had chores, but it wasn't like, if you don't, like, some people will come and wake their children up out the bed to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
My father would come and get me out the bed when the dishes weren't done. Yes, right. I've lived through that.
So that, those types of things I do plan to continue, but I feel like with him, I'm going to have to be a little bit more hands-on.
Okay.
And maybe he'll grow out of it, but he's also a boy. So, I feel like, because he's still not potty trained, that kind of stuff. So I feel like I directed a lot of the movement in our relationship as like the mothering piece.
Okay.
Whereas I feel like now I'm kind of pushing him towards kind of things that I want.
Gotcha.
but not to the point of being like overbearing.
Okay. Good evening to everyone that has joined us. Somebody's husband said, I'm just going to look at you. Don't put his son on blast. If you are just joining us, welcome to the Diva Den. We are talking about millennial motherhood. And I was just curious, like I said in the beginning, if you weren't here, is there really a difference? I think millennials take a lot of hits. I think there's a lot of assumptions that are made. And I think we're not getting to know the next generations. That's just my 2 cents. And because I have one or two, do I have two? Because we count. Yeah, Wes is a millennial.
Yeah, I'm the young end of the millennial. Let
That's
that be
right.
known.
I always forget who's on what end of the scale and the spectrum.
I'm a young
I don't even know what I am. I mean, like, I can't figure you out if I don't even know myself. Like, what am I again? They always tell me, am I a baby boomer?
No.
I
think you're.
I'm a Gen Xer.
I think you're a Gen Xer.
Okay, yeah, I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah, because your siblings are baby boomers.
Oh, right, because I was one of them late menopause babies. So, yeah, I was. But that's a whole nother show. But you have to get to know somebody. And in that whole, because I watch other people's children, there's a lot with that. And every mommy in my life right now, as far as my child care goes, everybody is a millennial. And so but they're all different.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. So one has 2 children, but I only keep one, and then the other 2 just have one. And so in that, just because you're in the same, generation, doesn't mean that it's cut and dry, that it's, one way, or that you're all thinking the same way. Because I don't think Wes and Maya really fit the mold of what the world says about millennials, just because they're the ones that I spend the most time with. You hear a lot of millennials always this or that, or y'all know they not trying to do. And I think like, well, no, that's not true when it comes to the ones that I know. But maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing something.
Well, I think some of it too is Generation Z is what a lot of people are focusing on, and they don't realize. So they group every but young person as millennial,
right?
And that's not the case. I think that it's important to note that millennials end at 1996. So if you're talking about somebody that's 20, they're not a millennial.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And that's what I correct people on that, honestly, especially at
she
work.
will correct you.
Especially at work, I'm like, no. This is not a millennial. This new kid is not a millennial.
Right.
Like our interns were born in 2000. No.
Right. But one thing, and this is what I want your perspective on, and because again, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just personality and doesn't have anything to do with, what generation you're classified as. This is not for you all, but just an observation. Because I'm a watcher. I tend to sit back and just watch, when I'm in different environments. And so, I watch a lot of TV and blah, blah, blah. So what I have seen is that a particular age group that we're talking about may not always accept help.
No.
Even if it's not criticism, it's taken, I think, as criticism. Like you want to have a voice and you want to prove that you know what you're doing and I've got this and okay, I hear you, but I'm not the kind of mother, since we're talking about mothering, I'm not the kind of mother that you are or how you raised your kids. Like, I got this. Let me figure it out as I go along. So how do the 3 of you think about that perspective?
I think for me, and I'll say a couple of things about this, but I ask or I seek out help, or how did you do this or how did you do that?
Yeah, you do.
Just because I want to know, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. And so, and with that, I don't know everything. And so, I try to just get people's perspective that have, been moms forever, or maybe we have one of our kids, our oldest, has special needs. So I'm always like, okay, seeking moms that may have kids with special needs. How did you educate them? And just whatever lane I'm in, I'm trying to get another perspective from another mom. But at the same time, though, because I kind of have like an inner perfectionism a little bit and very analytical, sometimes taking criticism is hard, because I think think it's harder for people who don't walk in my shoes or don't see the day to day.
Right.
In the effort that I feel like I'm giving my all. And so for somebody who's not in it to
and
criticize,
they just get that glimpse, that snapshot, or that couple of hours at church, or that time in the restaurant, or
Target
at your
when they off
house,
the chain,
right.
you know, and then you hear the or the
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people might think I'm younger than I am, or like I'm the babysitter because of my size, and so I feel like I wear baby Gap clothes. But I feel like that kind of people think they can just say things or criticize because I might remind them of their grandchild, or you know, so that type of criticism, it bothers me, and I have to work through that sometimes with the person or within myself. But otherwise, I'm trying, you know, most of the time, like seeking advice, like help, you know.
What about you, Anna?
I'm the same way. Like, you know, I'm the type of person, I know I don't know everything. I know. Me and my mother right now, that is my best friend, y'all. I call her every day, 5 times a day. Like, Mom, he slept for 6 hours. What's going on? Do I need to wake him up? You know, I feel like my mom looks at her phone like, if she calls me one more time,
I'm pretty sure she's not doing that.
I doubt that.
But
I know I would never.
Wait a second. Go ahead.
Yes,
My turn is coming.
And that's it for tonight. I got to go.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, but I literally call my mom about everything, any small thing, things I don't remember because there was such a huge gap.
Yeah, because you're starting over.
Yeah, starting all the way over. And I always joke and say, you know, these last 2 kids will be a true testament of whether I'm a good mom. Because the first kid, my mom kind of basically raised her because, you know, I was so young when I had her.
Because you had some stuff to finish
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
So it was like, okay, here's the kid. I'll be back in a couple years after I grow up a little bit.
I always say that because, you know, my Anaya is such a great kid. And I really only think she's a great kid because of, you know, how my mom was really right there with me.
Yeah, amen.
But thank you, Mama. Thank you, girl. She's the best.
She is. She is.
But yeah, I call her all the time and ask her about everything. And even some stuff, you know, I'll take it. Other things, I'll kind of put my own twist on what she says to do, then kind of do with a little bit of what she says.
And she
but then
never
put in
has
what
to
I
know.
think. But yeah, like.
Let me text her real quick. Anna does not
Listen.
Yeah, but I literally, I depend on my mom so much in this stage in my life. Yeah, so I know I don't have it all together, but I agree with you about kind of outsiders, like saying things who don't know you. Yeah. I remember one time, this was just maybe a month ago, because I don't take my kids out in public that much yet.
Amen.
But one time we went to Target. And, you know, as I told you guys before, Riley, she's just so precious. She just wants to do whatever she wants to do. And we were in the store, and she was kind of falling out, you know, pulling away from her older sister who was trying to hold her hand. And a lady walks by and said, she needs to get her butt beat. Oh. And I was just kind of looked like, what in the world? You know, so things like that, internally, I was so offended and so hurt, you know, by the way she said, like, she didn't know me. She didn't know that my kid is tired. I shouldn't have had her out this late in the first place.
Right.
No.
And I'm glad you said that. Let me tell y'all something. A lot of time, like, I don't know too many times I've actually said, like, okay, that kid is bad or whatever. A lot of times it's the parenting, and not that that's an example of bad parenting, but like you said, she probably shouldn't have been out, but it's like, okay, we just gonna make this
Girl,
run.
you can say it. I know. I done learned. We not going to Target at 9 o'clock at night. No more.
You
do
do
it
it
one time and you're straight.
Right.
Or the restaurant.
Yes.
You know, I've seen kids tear a restaurant apart because they have hit that wall and they are over it. They don't care about French fries. They don't care about chicken nuggets and ketchup. They don't care about drawing. They want to go to bed. They are like, look, I've been up it's been a day, okay? I'm in this wet diaper still. I'm over the milk. I'm just over y'all. I just want to go to sleep. So you have to live and learn. I've had those moments where it's like, yeah, this probably wasn't a good idea. And it's okay because they're still learning and you're still learning them, and y'all are learning each other. So you're going to have those moments. But, we cannot feel like we have the right to parent another parent when you don't have a relationship with that person. Now, if I had seen you out and about and it was just really a struggle, I might have said, is everything okay? Can I take her? And she don't know me from Adam, but I still would have offered, but I wouldn't have blasted you. So so what about you and the people helping?
So I think that similar to Anna, I literally will call you for, I will say I will Google first.
She's a Googler.
And then I will present you the options. Like, do you think it could be this or this? And I think because you do spend a lot of time with him, I'm like, okay, have you seen this before?
Well, have
you noticed
that dynamic is different with us.
Yeah,
like,
so
I see a patch on his cheek. Was that there earlier? Or I'm so sorry. We were in the yard, or he had a little taste of something. I noticed that too. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think outside of that, I don't know if I just have this aura, if people just know not to try me. I've never had someone give me that kind of feedback or anything like, and maybe they do it and I don't.
Themselves.
Right. Maybe they do it and I don't notice. But I've never been tested in public because I think God knows and the person must know, like, she's not the one.
Well, he probably whispered to them, like, don't,
just don't do it, because there's so much stress, there's so much pressure, there's so much, outside forces that if I am out with Rookie and he's in a mood or something, I already know what's going down. So don't even think you can help with anything. And people say, like sometimes people make comments about him on his phone and they know everything. I say, I just need him really to just be quiet and sit. So I'll tell people, I'll correct people. And I think that I also have a lot of people who probably know my personality and they don't tempt to give the unsolicited advice.
Oh, definitely.
So I got a lot while I was pregnant, but once Rookie was born, I'm very clear about if I don't ask you or if I don't ask you to share your experience, I don't want it.
Right. And just because you're a young mom doesn't mean that you don't know anything. Right. And just because I'm a seasoned mom doesn't mean that I know everything, because I'm done now. Like, I'm just kind of observing over here now. I've moved on to another lane. And so it doesn't mean that if I come to someone that's younger, and has younger children now, that I can just tell you to throw everything out the window that you're doing because I got it all right. No, I made lots of mistakes with her, like a lot. Did you say yeah?
I was just like, yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. Actually, I didn't. I think I did an okay job with the girl.
I wasn't there for the baby moments to remember it, but
right.
I hope not. Maybe I took a few less tumbles than Rookie.
Oh, definitely.
He's taking some tumbles.
I don't know if you ever had like the rolling off the bed or the couch or anything like that. I really don't think I dropped my kid.
That's a win.
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a total win.
That's a win.
Because that's something that freaks me out. I just like, I can't. She can tell you. I don't do well with that. Like, I'll admit, yes, I dropped my grandson. He had a spill.
It was once.
And I
think mom and dad still have the record for him, though. Anyway.
But he's yours.
We'll learn with the next one.
Yeah, because after I had to tell her that it had happened, like Wes knew pretty much when it happened.
Oh yeah, I was away.
She was away for work, right? And so I was just a wreck. So when he came from wherever he was, and I was just a ball of like nothingness. I know he probably was like, "Oh my gosh, this woman's crazy." And I think he kind of checked the boy and everything, and he was fine. And when I talked to Maya that night and we FaceTimed and everything, I had to hold the phone like a certain way because he had a little situation. I'm not going to say it was like a lump or anything, but it was a situation somewhere up in here. And so I'm FaceTiming and the phone is like a certain, I'm strategic with the angle of the phone and the baby. And so we didn't see her until that next day. So hubby drove me and Rookie out to meet her where she was, and then we stayed with her for the rest of the work trip. So I was like, I need to tell you something. Like, hi, I love you.
Like, I'm like, just give me the baby.
The baby, right? So about the baby.
He was what, like 5 months old, I think?
He was about 5 months. Yeah, almost 6.
Yeah,
he was that trip. He was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we had a little I may or may not have, dropped him or let him fall out the chair or what. I think he fell.
It was like his
high chair. Yeah,
it went forward.
It wasn't secured to the kitchen chair, and he was a heavy baby and like top heavy, so he just kind of splat like the whole. He was strapped into the chair, but the chair wasn't strapped to the chair. And
if he only had one tumble, honey,
I mean, that's amazing.
I was like, well, he's had like 3 at this point.
But see, now I think that's a difference because maybe it's just because my nerves are 5 minutes older than your nerves, but to me, that's a difference. Like, it seems like y'all don't really get bothered by things. Like, it's just not that you're not bothered, but I was frazzled and they were just like, okay, is he all right? Like, we ain't gotta go to the hospital, like, it's okay. And again, I don't think that necessarily is a millennial thing. I think it's just I'm a little bit older and my nerves are bad.
And I think you're Gigi too. He's yours, but he's not yours.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a sensitivity when, you didn't, birth them. Like when you're watching somebody else's child or something, it's just a different level of sensitivity, because when I drop mine, I'm like, well, I did it and I birthed the babies. And so it's like, I look and make sure, but then I'm like, because but if I was watching somebody else's child, then I would probably be the same way.
Yeah, Kathy says she was a wreck with the first one, but by the second one, I was good. Yeah, I would imagine that it gets a little bit easier, each time.
Because I was pretty relaxed. Maybe I wasn't. Do you think I was pretty relaxed?
For the most part,
I'm telling you, Google was I'm like, does this color poop mean anything? Okay, no, we're good. All right.
And I feel like, because I remember you text me at the very beginning with minor stuff, but I feel like you've been amazing for it to be your first child with different things and maybe allergies or something. I think you've been amazing.
And maybe
yes.
There's some other people's babies that, now they're like teenagers, but they may not have been okay at some point.
Right. But I think maybe because too she was exposed when she was younger, because in and out of, so I was home with her. I came home from my full-time job when she was 2 and stayed home full-time for 9 years, straight without a break. And so in those years, it was can you do me a favor? Or I'm kind of in between sitters or, just people coming, to me for childcare. And so she was always around babies. And so she started young in life, with being my helper and watching me do things. And, I would explain things to her, not really thinking about preparing her for motherhood. It's just, that's just how I was. We just had, like you said, don't talk to them like they're little people. She was a mini adult, so I just talked to her about life, and this is why I'm doing this. And when the baby does this or that, this is what I do for them and see this and just showing her things. So I think she, did pick up a lot.
And I had a lot of experience with different types of babies. I like with Levi, that was like my first baby where it's like, okay, he's fragile. I think, between him and Tyler, it was like, okay, this is not like a normal baby where you can kind of make a mistake in the way. Like, you need to hold him a certain way.
Right.
Because that's when he still had the whatever it was called.
Laryngomalacia, I think it is.
So it was, I had so much experience with different types of babies, like babies who were angry, babies who weren't, and it was just like, okay, because even with Tyler, it was like, okay, you have to hold her a certain way, you got to do all that. And I love babies.
Yeah. Oh.
And Rookie was a good baby. That definitely, he now, I don't know, but he was a good baby.
Yeah. So, going with the whole, and we all have things to juggle. Whether I always say, if you're working outside the home, you have 2 full-time jobs, because what I discovered, and this does not change with time, it's not based on generations. When I was driving to the 9 to 5, that was a job. And then as soon as I got home, my other job was waiting for me. Yeah. And technically, if you're married, I had 3 full-time jobs because the husband ain't a part-time job.
3.5. He's a full and a part-time.
Right.
Mine is.
Yeah, for real.
We're just 2 full-time jobs.
We're just saying, might as well put it on out there. So
no shade.
Learning how to juggle everything that's on your plates, because again, we have 2 moms that are working full-time outside the home and a full-time home, mommy and homeschooling. So your teacher hat, your mom hat, your employee hat, boss hat, co-worker hat, all of this ministry hats. So there's a lot going on. So how do you all wrangle your life? That's the best way, because I don't like balance, because I think that's a setup. I ain't found nobody that's been able to balance it all yet. So we just gonna say that now. Let's just stop saying that. So how do you wrangle your life? Or are you still figuring it out?
Yeah, well, so, okay, with the new baby, I feel like I'm still kind of finding my new rhythm.
Okay.
So I haven't completely found my new rhythm yet. But I'm getting there. And I think it's really just being okay with the fact that it's not failure that I can't do everything myself. It doesn't mean that you're failing as a mom. It doesn't mean that you're failing as a wife. It doesn't mean that you're failing in ministry because you can't do everything yourself. So now I'm really kind of focusing on being okay with help. It's okay I don't have to be super mom. It's okay to have help.
Yeah, let's get rid of her too. Take that cake. We're gonna shred the cake. We're gonna burn the cake. She does not. She's in the cartoon or on the movie screen somewhere. Because I haven't met her yet, and I'm 51. I have not met her yet.
Yeah, me either. And it's okay that you need help. I can admit that I can't keep my house clean every day. That is nearly impossible for me, and I have to be okay with that. Sometimes I kind of get like, oh, this house is a mess, and my husband is so great. Like, girl, you got an 18-month-old. Your house supposed to be a mess, but so sometimes it will be a mess. Sometimes it might be clean.
I don't have an 18-month-old in mine is a mess, so. It's a mess right now, and I'm going on vacation and come back, and it's still going to be a mess.
And it's okay to accept help from people who say, hey, we used to have this little whole junk room where we haven't put stuff together yet or up yet in our house, even though we've been there for a minute. But, I used to have, people say, well, let me help you get it together, because I would complain about it so much. But I would be like embarrassed to say, okay, that's fine to come over and help. But I'm getting to the place that, girl, come on over. Yeah. You want me to get
you haven't been here in a while.
And knowing that I have a team of people working with me
Absolutely.
in ministry, in ministry, my family with my home life, and I have a great partner that I'm working with in my home. Like, my husband is the best partner, and he lets me know you don't have to do everything. I can cook tonight. It's fine.
Awesome.
I'll do the dishes. You go to bed.
Okay.
I don't have to. And it's
Go,
not,
Ryan.
I know.
You better be a husband.
And Bobby too, because he be handling dishes too.
Yes, and it doesn't mean
Girl,
that
he
that
put them in a bag and throw them out.
Yeah.
I think this is new.
Right. New every week.
I just wanted to treat you.
It doesn't mean that I'm doing a bad job because he steps in to help.
That's right.
And because I have a team of, there's a whole, we work together, a core team with the ministry at the church. And I kind of always used to feel like I had to do it all. But our core team is the bomb. Like, the bomb. So it's like you don't have to do everything. It's okay. It's okay to have help in doing stuff. It doesn't mean that you're a failure.
And that was one of my, we don't have a script here, y'all. It's just a conversation. And that was one of my talking points, was that when I touched base with you all, was that feeling like, can I have it all? What does that look like? I think that's a lot of pressure. And I think, social media and Hollywood, or even people living the lie in a sense, next door even, they give us that impression that, they can have it all or they have it all. But I guarantee you there's one of those pegs, like, what's that game where you put the Jenga? Where you stack them and you have them and they're out of line. They don't line up evenly. So they can't have it all. One of those pegs is going to be out of order in a sense, and that's okay. And I think that pressure sometimes comes, it's internal, but then trying to live up to a standard, whether it's you know, like for you, I want my mom to see that I'm a good mom, and you know, oh, what is she gonna think about this or that? And as long as there's not a limb hanging off, or you know, he's not being fed, or you know, there's abuse or something like that, I'm good. That's your kid. Like, do your thing.
Right.
Because I don't follow all of, you know, the rules from the parents, and that's okay. But Samuelin said it does not get easier for her. Her son fell, and she was not frazzled, but with her daughter, she would go to the ER to have her examined. If I could take Rookie, you know, whenever something happened, I'd be the one. They would be like, okay, CPS.
Yes, right.
That's probably why I wouldn't go, is because I'm so nervous, not only about what they're going to find, but you know, okay, then they're going to take the child. Like, I'm not the mama, you know, so I'm just going, we're running out for a minute. We'll be right back, you know, checking in with them, letting them know if you look for me, I'm not around. I'm the frazzled one that's just like, oh my gosh, he's got a bump, he's got a thing. And I'll ask her, did you see that thing on Rookie's leg? Like, you know, so maybe I'm the millennial. I don't even know, because maybe
I think you're just a naturally concerned grandmother.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it took me one visit where I paid the copay and they didn't tell me anything that I hadn't seen on Google. And I was like, y'all not getting my money.
WebMD.
I believe that you Googled, though. Let me tell you, every time I Googled, I thought my kid was dying. Anytime.
Oh, me and Lovera have died like 18 times last year alone.
20th life, right?
No, so for him, it's actually kind of weird. So for myself, if I Google, I'm like, oh, I'm dying. I'm dying probably right now. Like, I will not be here in like 15 minutes. But for him, it's this weird, like, like I go to like the boards more so than like a WebMD. And then I see like a mom, she may be in Australia, so maybe things are different. But I just see somebody saying, oh yeah, my son had this and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, well, he's not doing all of that. So, and I took them to the doctor and they said, so that's what your doctor said. Then mine's probably gonna say the same thing. So I can keep this $40 in my pocket.
Right. Well, see, y'all have the internet. Yeah. You know, my internet was my mother.
Yeah.
You know, my girlfriends, you know, I have girlfriends that have kids, you know, older than Maya. And so I'm like, okay, did you ever have this or that happen? Or did any of your kids, you know, experience this? So, you know, Jackie McCoy, Stephanie May, they were my internet. You know, my mom. Even my big sister Bernie, you know, I would check with her on things. So you still have that network, that village, you know, of people. And I didn't have any issues, you know, asking for help. And so what about discipline? Read Shamika's comment real quick. Hold on, y'all. This was funny. And I'm going to get tickled.
The first one or the second one?
The one about...
Oh, she said at one point I had 3 babies, 2 toddlers, and a newborn, and those tumbles seemed endless. At first, I was like, oh my gosh. But then I was like, oh, get back in the bed. There you go.
See, and I don't know that I would ever be that, oh, you're fine. Like, I really thought I was going to have to get a helmet for Rookie, because he just tumbled a lot.
He hit his head
over
a lot. And I don't know, like he has a speech delay maybe. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he's very healthy, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He definitely
He just doesn't
is.
talk a lot.
He's getting there. He talks when he has something to say, but he's so smart. Like, he spits out stuff, and you're just like,
was that from the bump on the head? Like, but did it go the opposite way? Like, you're now like 17,
right? Because he sometimes, Freaky and again, that whole, you know, like I'm trying to reflect back sometime and remember Maya, you know, as a little one, and we joke about him, like he'll stall at nap time. So one day he's counting and he's up to like 60, you know, and I'm just like, okay, but that's really good, 61, and then it's 70 and 80 and 90, and he's up to like, what did I tell you that day?
It was like
115 or something. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, now I'm curious, like,
you got me.
It worked.
You got me.
And nobody knew that he could count that high. So yeah, so just watching the different, you know, things from the outside looking in a sense. But so I want to talk about discipline. So how do you young mamas feel about discipline? Because I can guarantee you all 4 of us have a different perspective as well as you all. But let's talk about discipline.
Discipline. It's funny because Bobby's probably gonna be like, man, you're so lenient. But right now, I think I disciplined because I knew being at home with the boys that I wasn't gonna wait till Daddy got home to for Daddy to spank or do whatever. However, we discipline the rod of correction. We have a spoon called the rod of correction, and so I felt like that I had to play the disciplinarian role as well, and so we share in the discipline, but I feel like I give more grace in certain areas because he is out of the house more in, obviously pastoring and ministry and things than I am. And so sometimes when he gets home, I have to kind of give him an update on what's been happening, because sometimes he'll be quick with it, but then it's like, okay, let's talk before you discipline or have a discussion about it. And then there are areas where he's more stern with the discipline than I am, or he may give more grace in an area where I don't. And then we're also realizing, as our kids are getting older, that we're starting to have more conversations about how we are continuing to discipline older children. They're still kids, but older.
But it's coming, then, Lord willing.
Yeah, and then also even how we parent, because they're not really babies anymore, babies. So we're having to have a lot more parenting conversations.
Yeah. So do you see a difference yet, or have you thought about how it's going to be different with Riley and RJ versus Anaya?
Okay, so I've had to already think about this with Riley.
Okay. She just going to propel you right on into the teen years. Maya calls Wookie a teenager, so it sounds like.
So like as you said, me and Ryan are so different in areas where certain things to me, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that serious, and other things like, no, she need to be on punishment for that. And he's like, no, she doesn't, So we do have a lot of conversations about, what to do. But with Anaya, she's at the age where we have a lot of conversations with her, like really hard conversations before she gets into certain behaviors.
Yeah, because 15 is like, Jesus.
Yeah, so we have a lot of conversations, and I'm just going to say how awesome my husband is one more time, because he's created an environment for her where she feels comfortable sharing.
That's important.
So, something happens at school, or one day she got a dress code violation. And she's like, I got a dress code violation. She just with me, I would have hid that. I would have tried to sign the violation memo card myself and turn it back into the teacher so my parents would know.
Absolutely.
But we have this environment with her where she feels free to come and talk to us about things or stuff that's going on. Or we had an issue with social media. It wasn't like a huge thing. And I was like, I'm going to go turn her service off so she don't know. She's going to go use her phone, and her service going to be suspended. She ain't going to be able to use it. And he's like, Anna, calm down.
So he pulls you in off the ledge.
Yes, he pulls me in off the ledge. He's like, well, let's figure, did you do that when you were a kid? And, we kind of talk about our experiences in similar situations that she's going through. And then we talk to her about it.
Okay.
So that's how, we kind of work with her. With Riley, though, right now it's a lot of consistent picking her up and moving her away from the behavior that I don't want her to do. So trying to get into something. It's like
you got to redirect her.
Redirecting her.
Or just move her.
Right. So she knows, okay, well, she's not going to let me do this, but it's just, it's so draining. Can I say that?
It is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sure the moms would agree that draining is
I hope y'all agree.
Yes.
It's draining, teaching her that you cannot go into that cabinet and lick the glass like you were doing the other day that I caught on tape.
Just saw that on Facebook.
You can't do that. It's just
she
draining.
needs her own show.
She does. The Riley Hour.
Yeah, so and with her, he's kind of like, she need to get popped. And I'm like, no, we have to teach her first. We got to teach her the behavior that she should have first before we start going in to pop her or something like that.
Yeah. I want to share what Lillian said, because I don't know if everybody can see everything, so I don't want us to miss this. I'm not sure if the millennials really want input, especially from the baby boomers. We only want hold on, my phone jumped. We only want to help. I always say there is not a book in the world that can tell you how to raise your child or children. I believe we all take it day by day, do the best we can, and pray for the best. I know that's right. Teresa said y'all are old school and don't realize that nothing has changed. That's true. That's true.
I did think that when you said y'all have y'all spoons at the wrong correction.
And the funny, and I
Yes, indeed.
I know, and I wasn't even raised like that.
Yeah.
But I even see, now that I know officially that I'm not a baby boomer, I think that was Bobby that came and taught on the generations at our church. It was really, he did a really good job on that, because I was in there like, okay, sometimes I'm in the classes or things going on because I kind of have to be, it's just a good look. But, I actually learned some stuff, good job, Bobby. And so I'm looking at the paper and the years, that people, I for so many years thought I was a baby boomer. But what I realized was, even though I'm a Gen Xer, I was raised with and like baby boomers because of the space with my siblings. I'm the youngest of 5. And so I'm just a whole different creature. Like, on paper I'm one thing, but my reality kind of made me a different way. So I think I'm kind of missing some of the Gen X piece.
And I'm a Gen X, and I have to, and Bobby's right on the cusp, and so I have to tap in. Me and my parents, the funny thing is my parents were so young, we're actually in the same generation.
Well, I wasn't going to say because I told Maya, I said, well, actually Lala is not, I'm sorry, Lovera is not the family name. It's not, a millennial, but you're not so far removed. And so that's why you just slid on
exactly.
there.
Yeah,
Well, but I think your parenting style, and even like you're young, so it's not completely out of the question.
Right. Exactly.
And I feel like, was that Lillian? Who did you just read the comment?
About
the advice? I feel like
that was Lillian. Yes.
Millennials want advice, but it's the relationship is so important to have with the millennial, and then you can, then you're speaking into somebody's,
right, like life. Just don't come for me. Like I gotta know, say, well, shoot, I'm that way.
Right. And I'm even like,
so I'm a millennial.
Right. And because of the relationship we have, and you being my big sister, mentor, mom, like a whole umbrella. You can give me unsolicited advice, you know what I mean, and without me being like, oh, what is the deal? But for somebody who doesn't know me, it's just received in such a different way, and don't know my kids, because I'm like, what's your motive? Do you want my kids to be perfect angels like yours were, or are you really trying to help me in my parenting? And so millennials may be thinking on those lines, like, why are you? I have no relationship with you.
I mean, I think that it's about the approach. Even if you don't have the relationship, you're like, put a hat on that baby. You shouldn't.
Like, why?
I don't want to hear that. Because if I want to take my child out in the snow with no clothes on, guess what? I will.
Maybe they're allergic to hats. Maybe the fiber in the.
And that's the thing. It's about the approach.
That's your kid.
And I've told people. So I have a cousin who was having they had their first child in November, and I sat down with them. They were here for the weekend, and I sat down with them. We were just talking, and I said, "Listen, you're gonna have people that give you advice, and you have to decide as the parent what your position is going to be on that. You have to decide if you're going to say thank you and ignore it. You have to decide how you receive it, because you can't get consumed by all of those opinions, because some of the advice will be valid. 100% will be valid. It is just the way that they deliver it, or it's the way, and so you have to learn what to take in and what to block out, which I think Wes and I have really tried to balance, because I do know a lot, and it wasn't like we were completely clueless. Even with him, he's like, well, why are you doing it that way? And I'm like, well, that's the way it's always been done. And he'll challenge me to look at things a different way, and I'm like, I don't know about that. And then I see him and Ricky, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, that might work with him. It's just because y'all guys, whatever. But it's about the way that you receive it and that you internalize it.
Absolutely.
Because it's absolutely, I mean, giving baby stuff to make them poop or whatever, like that kind of stuff, it's valid, but it's like, are you giving it to me in a way that I can receive it, or are you giving it as a criticism? Because if it's a criticism, I'm blocking it. I don't want it.
Right.
And it's all about delivery, you know. And again, just because I might have a suggestion or a way to do something doesn't mean that it's going to work, even with my grandson, because he's not the same kid that another kid might be. And like right now, I have 3 of them. So in any given moment, I can be with the, you know, doing something with the almost 3-year-old, the 2.5-year-old, or the almost 5-month-old. And so they all have different needs. And I might be the one that's reaching out just because I'm a grandma now. I'm sorry, I'm a Gigi. Doesn't mean, let's fix that. Doesn't mean that I know everything. So I'll still, now that I'm, you know, in this age of technology, I still Google stuff and I still pick up the phone and, you know, ask a friend, phone a friend. I don't have my mom to ask anymore, but I have girlfriends that have, you know, more experience, whether it's by, you know, mothering or grandmothering in different situations. And so I will still ask questions. Nobody knows it all. Each situation is going to be different, and each kid is going to require, I don't care if you have 18 kids, look at them Duggars. I bet every last one of their 29 children has a different need, and they had the parent that they don't have 29, but they have a lot. And more power to them. And that's another thing. Stop telling people how many kids they should have and when they going to have another one.
Get out the uterus.
Right.
Get out.
You should have a girl.
And you should mind your business.
Like, and are you going to sponsor this child? Because it's not 25 cents a day. Let me tell you that.
No, not ever. So if y'all are doing that, our friends in the Diva Den tonight, please stop. You know, I tell people all the time, however many they want, and the Lord partners with them and gives them that number that they have a desire for. Maybe they don't even know yet. It's fine with me, because when they have another one, to a degree, I'm going to have another one, because, you know, I'm a part of their village. And so it's okay. It's quite Rookie is enough. I love him to the moon 3 times and back, but I'm good. I'm good until next year. See how I slid that in? But I have a lot of respect, you know, for you all, because I do think the world puts pressures on you all, and maybe I had and I just didn't pay it any attention. I don't know, because I probably was a lot like Maya in that people just knew not to come for me, you know. Maybe we just have this thing about us. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Lord protecting
My chakra is like unbothered.
Right. Hashtag unbothered. But I don't know. It's a challenge, and I'm looking at, you know, her and the juggling and the wrangling, and it wears me out watching her life sometime. I'm just like, I probably would have been in a straitjacket somewhere. Like,
but I think I have a different perspective on all of that, because so growing up with you in the home gave me this one frame of mind and this one kind of, I want to be like that. And then also the way that you and Daddy raised me was like, well, you can still have your own dreams. So I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I'm like, oh, and I'm still me. So I don't care if I get 3 hours of sleep. If everything is done, it's done.
Yeah.
Now, does it drive me crazy?
Your mindset most of the time is, no matter what, I'm going to get it done.
I will stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning doing laundry or cooking. Like, Thursday night or Wednesday night, I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's just, so, you know, I've taken a lot of that off of my husband, because I like things done a certain way. I'm going to be honest. He's probably like, oh, does she really admit that? But I like things done a certain way, and I also have certain expectations. So I want to send my child to daycare with fresh food. Even though my mother's not going to shade me if he has to have a fish stick meal, I still want to do that for him because I had that. And so I'm like, I can do that if, you know, sleep is nothing. And then I do catch up on my sleep. And then I have some days where I pick my thing and I say, you know, okay, well, today the dishes are not going to be done. And I'll tell us, I'm like, straight up, I went to bed and the dishes aren't done, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that, and not to say that I'm an example for anybody, but you have to know your limitations, because when I get to that point, I'm shut down.
Right.
So the house might be dirty for a week. You know, laundry's getting done. Everybody's wearing something that's mismatched. And we all eating Chick-fil-A for 3 days.
Girl, welcome to my world every week.
But But then there are times where I'm like, I can do it. And I don't see a problem with. Now I'm kind of in this phase where I'm like, okay, if we are ready to add to our family, then I kind of can't do all of this, because I know, like, my first trimester, I was on my butt. So I'm like, I can't maintain at that rate. If we do truly want to have more children, I know I'm out for 13 weeks straight up. I'm gonna be done. I was falling asleep at 7 o'clock every night. So I'm like, all right,
let me try. Quite pitiful.
Let me try and balance this to a point, and balance in the terms of like, okay, what's really important, and then wrangle from there.
Yeah.
Prioritizing, that's key.
It's so important.
I agree, Samuel, in that. Gosh, teenagers with the social media now, just the beginning of it, you know, that whole era with Maya, you know, for us, it was watching the BET video channel. Like, people were like, y'all listen to secular music and watch the videos. You better, because we needed to know what she was listening to. So if she was, you know, what was out there, whether she was listening to it or not. But that was our version of, you know, being involved in our teenagers, you know, world. So that if she came to us like, oh, well, this is just such and such on my iPod, you know, it's an okay group. And I'm like, no, I heard this stuff, and no, you are not going to be listening to them. And it's like, what y'all know about that? So now with the social media and stuff, you better be in there finding out, you know, what's going on in their, you know, that's world. True. Because it's some crazy stuff going on. So yes, I agree, to peer pressure.
But okay, so we're having a candid conversation. I think one of the things that I would, and I will say times are completely different now, but one of the things I probably would change, I feel like I had nothing. Like, I would go to a party and people be jamming, and I'm like, I don't know this dance, I don't know this song. You know, all I know is the Macarena. Like, that's all I can do. You know, and I feel like, and I've told Wes, I'm like, I think that we should have a balance, and we should, like you said, supervise and monitor, but still expose. Because I feel like, I mean, I couldn't watch Harry Potter, I couldn't watch That's So Raven, I couldn't watch TV at all.
I think we took Barney away.
You know, so it was like no Teletubbies, no Dragon Tales.
Oh, definitely not the Teletubbies.
You know,
no Disney. Kind of we didn't do Disney.
It was no Disney.
She's never been to Disney because there was a whole thing, you know, in that time, the early 90s, there was a thing, and I'm not going into that, but yeah.
I didn't, like, a lot of that stuff I did not have, and I was just like the kid. It wasn't like I was the kid. I mean, it's kind of funny, like, growing up, when I was growing up, it was the homeschool kids, actually, who were those kids who were like, okay, you know, like, all right, they're a little different. Oh,
like, do they have a TV in there?
Yeah, so
because I'm like, well, wait a minute, you were a homeschool kid. We homeschool too. You turned out okay. Anna's a homeschool kid.
There was that group.
I agree.
There was that strong.
I saw them when I was coming up.
Yeah, so there was the, and so I've explained to Wes, like, we are going to take things from both of our childhoods and put them together and hopefully, you know, make decent people. But I think that is just so funny to me that you have that perspective, and I feel like I didn't have. I mean, I couldn't even have a Facebook. That was like the biggest trouble of my life when they found out at Facebook and whatever.
I thought it was MySpace.
It was a MySpace. Yeah, it was a
MySpace.
I had a Facebook too, but you know, it was just this whole like shell, which I can appreciate now.
Right.
But
because we were figuring it out.
Yeah.
We had never had one of these before, so it was, you know, let's just do what we feel is the best for her.
And it was fine, but I used to like be in my room listening to 96.3, and I'm like, not knowing that there's like 93.9 and 95.5, but I was just like, oh, what is this song? Oh my gosh, what is this? And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can listen to this. I have to turn this off. Or I'd be at somebody's house and I'm like, oh, my parents don't let me watch that. I'm sorry, I gotta go. Like,
yeah, I think that's interesting you say that, because we have our boundaries with things. Like, there are certain cartoons now with, you know, maybe same-sex parents and just things that are blatant, that are out there that we didn't have when we were younger. And I think, you know, even like, you know, the CNN, how we, you know, when we watch CNN as adults, how they're talking about the president, you know, how they're talking about, you know, all these things that kids are picking up that's going on in the world. We're trying to find that area of like what you're not going to watch, what we're going to have you turn from. But then also we found there have been different opportunities for teachable moments with those things. And I think right now, as I'm thinking as a parent, they are around kids, when they're hanging out with their buddies in the neighborhood or just whatever, they're bringing in stuff that, I have to say, oh, but we don't talk like that. Or like we don't even let them say but still. Like we're like, just bottom.
Yeah.
They're like 10 and 8. We're like bottom, cut that out, because we feel like where we can just put the boundaries so far back.
Right.
Because
that'll backfire on you.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just try to get them as far away from, because we know they're going to get to a point. But yeah, it's just, trying to not expose them. Like, we don't want to have that parenting, that certain conversations with our 8 and 5 and 10-year-old right now.
Right.
But at the same time, we just understand that we got to keep up with the world, the iGen world that they're in.
Absolutely.
And there are just things we just kind of purposely let them have experience with to teach them. And
Shamika said one of the most heartbreaking mommy times is when you have made mistakes and your children are doing the very things that you did that got you in trouble or worse. And I think you just kind of alluded to or opened up, the door for the teachable moments, have conversations with them, because sometimes when you let them know that your approach is not because you know it all, and I've already lived my whatever years and I know best because I'm the parent. It's like, you know what, while I may not like the behavior, I did some of these same things and I regret, so if we use that as a teaching moment. I remember hearing a friend that said the dad didn't share certain things with their children that he had done because he didn't want the children to see him in that light. Sometimes we have to share those things, those difficult things that we, have been through, because it's a part of who we are, and it helped shape and mold us, even if it was a negative experience, even if it was getting in trouble or experimenting with this or that. I tried to be as respectfully open with Maya as I could, and we talked about stuff, and it wasn't just because I didn't want you to have fun and have a life to live and all of that. It was because I'm trying to save you from some things. But then you have to realize the flip side of that card is I can't save you from everything. You're going to go out and make mistakes, and do things not the way I would think that I would want you to do them. And it's just going to have to be, what, Lord, she belongs to you. There was a point where once those young years were done and I couldn't be there, all the time, taking her to the place and picking her up and being there in between and blah, blah, blah. Once it was, she's driving and a date here and there, which thank God that was not a whole lot, of that going on. Thank you, Jesus. Prayer works.
Anybody got time for all that?
And so, that was her thing. She was like, look, this course load, her high school courses were pretty much like college, and because we were having conversations, little boys, sniffing and trying to holler at you and stuff, and I don't have time for that. I think her husband was almost not a husband because or her husband because of that, saying, look, I ain't got time for that. But the little, what I call hurdles or bumps and bruises that we may have had, while it wasn't a lot, we did have some, but it's okay. So for those that have the younger children and you haven't gotten to those moments yet, it's a great possibility that they will come. But you got to say, Lord, this child belongs to you. I don't have a clue. I don't know what to do. So you're going to have to help me, take me to your word. And, for those that are believers and God is your guide. He's our saving grace, and I think we're getting to a point where we got to start wrapping up. But I was going to
ask if we had a couple, because we have 2 questions here.
Absolutely. You're the producer, so I'm on Elev8's time. I can stay all night.
We got a couple more
I'm
minutes.
in vacation mode, so we can stay here till 1 a.m.
We got a couple more. So
Wes.
one is a quick question, and then one is one they'll probably have to talk about a little bit. So one question is for you. It says, Rose, does a mother stop needing advice of other mothers once their kids are adults?
Nope. Absolutely not. And that's funny because I have a big sister that I am probably getting ready to ring her phone. Not that anything's wrong, but it's a checkpoint. Like Lovera says with me, you know, she'll run things by me, you know, as the big sister and all those slashes of who we are in each other's lives. And it's like I'm at that point now where I don't have a lot of girlfriends that are in the season that I'm in with, you know, having a son-in-law and a grown-ish daughter and being a grandmother and I'm sorry, Gigi. So yeah, I definitely still need advice because I'm not done. You know, I'm done raising her, but I'm not done being in her life. And so I want to make sure, you know, I need to have a conversation with someone that's been doing, you know, this level of mothering for some time now. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking this or that, or, you know, should I say something or should I not say something? Because it's still a learning curve. Like, I don't think you're ever done learning. And so I know, even as the mother of an adult child, that I'm going to still make mistakes. And so I'm still learning because I've never been the mother of an adult child and I've never had a son-in-law and I've never had a grandson. So yeah, I still need help. What was the other one?
That was a good answer.
Because you're a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I would use help for me too. I need help for myself. So, you know, I just, you know, whatever. That's fine. The other thing was, Kathy said, I found that most millennials don't want input or feedback, but are quick to give it. Do you ladies find that applies to motherhood too? I would say yes. Because I feel like there are people who are like the crunchy moms and they're trying to tell you what to do. And they're like, oh, well, we swaddle at night so that, you know, this and this. And I'm like,
the crunchy. What's the crunchy mom?
You never heard crunchy moms?
Okay, even I know about that.
So crunchy moms are those organic moms that like want you to like rub like essential oils on your child and they want you to do this and we do this and we have this whole thing that we do and we've read this book and this is how we're going to do it. And this is the full, you know.
Sorry, I shouldn't.
But they're called crunchy moms. And so there's nothing wrong with being crunchy.
No,
everybody has their person.
Go ahead with your crunchy self.
I mean, just be, if that's who you are, and then there are
be
some
crunchy. Right. If God created you to be crunchy, be crunchy.
But
walk in it.
You know, if I want my kid to have sugar, he's going to have sugar. He may not have a ton of sugar, but I mean, God, like let him have a piece of candy. Like, okay, but
let the boy live.
You know, I think that a lot of millennials who have these different and alternative, because as millennials, you're kind of in between like the old school and new school. And so you have to decide, are you going to be old school? Are you going to be new school? Are you going to find a balance? And a lot of people who take the new school approach, they want to educate people. And it's like, okay, you know, like, oh, well, that's nice, you know. It's like, oh, well, we're going to put them in, you know, swim lessons because it's 6 months. They should really be doing. Okay, I just want my kid in the bathtub. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but I feel like a lot of millennial moms, and it's not to be a bad thing because you may share something, like there are some things that I've gotten and I'm like, oh, never thought about that. Oh, let me look into that. But at the same time, like, back up. Like, okay, if you want to be crunchy by yourself. Because I'm not crunchy. I'm like a little crispy, but not crunchy.
Crispy's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because I mean, I have a lot of things that I have like researched and I'm like, oh, I would love to do this, or I would like to, you know, understand this more, but am I going to implement it? No. Most of the time, no.
Yeah. I wanted to give some attention to this. The influence of what the world deems as right seems to be winning with her teenager, even though she knows better. Absolutely. And that's not a noun thing that, you know, well, back in my day, the world has always and will always have an influence on our children. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to bring some disparity into the home. We're not going to see eye to eye because the kid, I don't care if it's space age, I don't care what generation we're in, what times we're living in, the parents 9 times out of 10 are always going to be the bad guys, and you don't understand and you don't know what it's like, and I'm the only kid that's not. And again, you know, if you are in relationship with the Lord, sometimes you just have to, I know it's vague and it seems like so 101, but you really just have to pray about it and stand on that faith that, you know what, God, you're going to have to see us through this season, because I really don't see how I'm going to make it. I felt like I was either going to be on the 5th floor, I think it is in the hospital, that's the very special place, or like out on the ledge somewhere. Like there were moments where I just wanted to pull my hair out. Like I didn't have a clue, I felt. And again, there weren't many of those moments, but they came, you know, and I had to realize through that village and that community of other mothers and having those conversations that, you know, that reaching out for help, I wasn't alone. And that's when those girlfriends, you know, were there. Girl, if that's all, like it got to a point where she didn't want to clean her room. And one of those, if that's the only problem you had, let her never clean the room. If that's the
a lot of people say that though. A lot of people are like, okay, she's on honor roll, or you know, he's a star athlete. Hopefully all that'll pay off, and then somebody else will clean their room when they get older. So I mean, yeah, let it be. I
had to get to a point where what was important, what was a priority, like I really had to take a step back and do one of those assessments to say, okay, Rose, hold on. Is her not cleaning her room really the end of the world? And you know what it came down to? Close the door. Because the real truth of the matter was, it was the pot calling the kettle black. Let's just go ahead and put myself out there. Our room wasn't clean. And so for a minute, it was like, well, I'm the parent and I said you need to clean up your room because I said so. You know, you better be glad you got a room. And, you know, that whole thing.
Oh, Lord.
Claire Huxtable ain't have nothing on me. But then it was kind of like the Holy Spirit was, you know, that wasn't a tap. It was a full, you know, yoking me up. Like, okay, your room. Have you seen your room down the hall that the doors closed on all the time? So I was like, girl, it's fine. You got a heavy workload. And she was working, you know, part-time because she wanted to work. And so she had a lot on her plate. And because education, you know, is important to us, if it came down to the grades, because you were going to need good grades to get into college and hopefully get, you know, scholarship money or whatever. So that was the priority. And because there weren't any other issues that we commonly find in the teen years, I didn't care if she never cleaned her room. I just figured that was going to be her thing to figure out. Amen. And when she had her own house and her own kid and kids or whatever, hey, have at it. Right. So it just became not a thing. Because you don't make Maya no. I sure don't. And I was a little less stressed out about it. I was the one because she didn't care. She didn't care. Right. It's just like now. I guarantee you, if you have the mindset that Rookie's playroom doesn't have to be in order every single night before that's stressful trying to clean up after a 2-year-old or almost 3-year-old, you know, 18-month-old. So if you just let the toys be.
The only thing I do is make sure Wes doesn't trip, because it's kind of dark when he leaves. So the only thing I do is move stuff out the way that he can trip. Now, whether I move it to its proper place, or move it
or just out of the way.
That's the only thing
you can die over toy.
You're doing that.
That's the only thing.
Because the Lego can kill you.
I don't want you waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning when you going out the door. And Rookie can hear and I can hear, and so I'm gonna need us to stay asleep for a couple more hours. So I'm just gonna move this out the way.
And that is good. Because listen, I just had a conversation today about remote controls not being where they're supposed to be. So if your biggest thing is just moving the Legos out the way, great. Good job, Maya. Kudos to you.
Like, I'll just throw it in, and people come in and like, oh, somebody was here a couple weeks ago. Like, oh, do we need to clean it? I'm like, I haven't been in that playroom in weeks. Now, I will go in there and vacuum and clean it up. But after, I think, 3 times, I noticed that he really didn't pay attention, and he was still playing with the same stuff. And I was like, noted. But I think that's one of those big things too, is that you have to be willing to make adjustments, and you have to say, is this something that's really important? You know, like there's all these memes about like, oh, the dishes are dirty but my kids are happy. That's true. And so if it's an adjustment that, okay, maybe my husband wants to see, you know, a certain thing when he comes home, okay, how can I manage where like the dishes are in the sink but there are some clean ones or whatever, you know, how can I manage that? What adjustments can I make that are realistic and I can use, and then take that tool and implement it.
Yeah, because life has enough stressors on its own, just because it's the nature of the beast, you know. And so anything that I feel like can be removed, because I can only control what I can control.
Yeah.
And so what I can control, I try my best to control. There are some things that are going to come your way and you are not going to have a say in it. So that's a whole nother ball game. So what I've always tried to do and still do is what I can control, I try to control. I'm probably going to mispronounce your name, and I'm so sorry, Milan. I hope I'm saying that right in regard to your question, because that's not our topic. What I would say about that is, and this is just my version of how I think I would handle that. She asked, I'm sorry, asked if the man should have input when it comes to abortion. I would say, again, because that's, maybe we can have this conversation, I'm open to having all kinds of conversations. However, I believe that when it comes to, having children, not having children, that whole thing, you have to have a conversation and you have to try your best to get on the same page, get on one accord, and work that out to the best of your ability. And at the end of the day, you may not agree, and then whoever's in the driver's seat or the woman has to do what she feels is best. That's not my place to say, what he should be allowed to do and not allowed to do. That's something that's a very personal, a very individual. There's a whole lot that goes into that conversation, and it is before us right now. It's what we're living with every day. And so those kind of conversations, any conversation when it comes to, future children on the way, your whole approach and, mindset and perspective, you have to be in our ongoing conversation, and communication with your partner or the potential, mother, father of the child or children. So there's just so much around that. Do you all have any closing thoughts that you want to leave the people with before we roll out the den?
Closing thoughts?
Oh, I was supposed to ask about the saving grace. That's what we'll close out on, because
like open-ended closing thoughts.
Yes, like the never-ending. That's my sanguine coming through. I'm sorry, and I'm tired, so all bets are off right now. So what would you say is your saving grace as a mother? Like when you get to that ledge moment, kind of, what kind of saves yourself? Like what is it that grounds you or helps reel you back in, whether it's a scripture, a person, a practice? Last month we talked about self-care. So what is your saving grace as a mom? We'll start with Anna, since you threw Lovera under the bus at the beginning. Because you should be comfortable now.
So my saving grace as a mom is making sure that, trying to make sure I don't get to that point where I'm just like off the ledge.
Stay here, y'all. We're frozen, but just hang in there. We're almost done.
Yeah. And I do that by making sure every day that I take time to myself just to be still and kind of process the day. I've been doing this devotional that really focuses on like being silent.
Okay.
And so it's really helped me in processing each day, like just processing the day, everything that happened that day, unwinding, letting myself feel any emotions I have about the day, and just having that moment and then just letting it go out.
Awesome.
So that is really my saving grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I might have to borrow some of that. Lovera.
I think the same thing. I have different things, whether it's a book, devotional, scripture, but finding something. I used to have I still have Lala days that we would schedule, but I realized that I had to find something every single day to tap into Lala and to tap into me and to do something just for me that was totally unrelated to everybody in my house.
Awesome.
Do something for me. And also just understanding that I'm a human being too. Like like this is a new revelation for me actually, is that I'm a human being, and if I'm doing the best that I can, even if it's one thing out the day, even if nothing else is done, no dishes, no laundry, but that was the best that I could do for that day, then it has to be okay.
Okay, that's awesome. Y'all better go ahead. And Miss Maya?
Well, my answer ain't that good. I don't think I have one yet.
Okay.
So I have been in this place for, I would say, almost a year, where I'm still trying to figure out my priorities and trying to make sure that everything gets the attention that it needs. And so a lot of times I come last. And so it's a weird thing because I do value self-care. Like, I do get my hair done. I try to get my nails done, get my eyebrows done, all that kind of stuff. But I don't really have a thing. And so I've been talking to Wes, and I'm like, I don't have a thing. And I don't, I'm not a reader. I'm not a podcast person. And so I haven't been able to identify that thing. But at this point, I think that if I could call one out, I think it's just Rookie. Like, I want him to have the best childhood possible. I want him to be cultivated in such a way that, like, sometimes that pulls me back off the ledge. So, like, is this really the best?
Like, he's your why.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, I don't have the saving grace yet, and I'm trying to get to that place. I think I'm pretty close, but he is what grounds me. And so if I'm having a rough day or whatever, I may go watch him sleep. I may get in the bed with him. I may just cuddle him, and he may resist it, whatever. But he
ask for a picture of him or FaceTime.
Yeah, like, I FaceTime him while I'm at work. And so I try and call him, and I talk to him throughout the day. And I just make sure that he's at the center of, like, this is why you're doing it. And I know, like, my husband is important too, but if we didn't have Rookie, a lot of things would be different. And so he is a lot of, and even just the way, because he was a surprise, I think that kind of set the tone for, like, he immediately was like the focus of our marriage.
Right, you had to consider him.
Right. And so I think that, as we're moving into this season where he's becoming more independent, it's just really thinking about, like, what kind of experience I want him to have as a child. And that's what kind of gets me through the day.
Wow. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for coming into the Diva Den and trusting me and my friends at this point listening into Facebook. And I just want to say, if nobody told you lately, that y'all are awesome moms.
Aww.
You really dang it, I almost
You can't, this is the first time you cried in the Diva Den. You can't do it. You can't do it. Pull us together.
But because, I am mothering is so important to me. And I had the best mom on the planet. I know everybody thinks that of their mom, which is great. But one of the reasons why I didn't climb the corporate ladder and focus on career was because I wanted to give my family what my mom gave, to us. And again, I'm the youngest of 5. And all I ever wanted, if I had an opportunity to be a mother, was to be home. That's my happy place. I've done the work thing and all of that, and I'm grateful for those experiences because they've helped, shape me and mold me and prepare me for life. But being, that mom and now that full-time, Gigi, it's a blessing. It really is. So what I would say is, treasure the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you only get one chance, even though you have multiple children and may have at some point multiples. You only get one shot with that individual child, and you're going to, I'm not going to say make mistakes because everything happens for a reason, but you're going to have moments where it didn't turn out the way that you thought, or maybe the kid won't turn out the way that you thought. There'll be disappointments and stuff, but at the end of the day, as long as you can lay your head down and say, you know what, I feel like for today, I did the best that I could. I'm going to sleep well. And so I try to not have any regrets. So again, y'all are awesome. Y'all are rocking. Thank you all for joining in, and we apologize for the technical difficulties, but I just love y'all. I really do.
Love you. And thank you, because you are the bomb.
The bomb.
She really is,
Thank
though.
you. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Thank you.
Yeah, so producer hat on. We are kind of taking a little break next week, but you'll still pop in, right? You're still going to...
I'm going to have a something different that we're going to do next week. The Diva Den is not going to be totally gone, so
just stay tuned.
Just stay tuned. Just keep your phones and your gadgets handy, because we might be on location. I can't, go into all that because I'm kind of undercover right now. But so stay tuned, and I want your feedback. So can you give us because I'm just somewhere else right now.
Yes. So So my producer hat is on. So we will have the replay will be available. So if you have a millennial mom in your life who you want to share this with, please share the replay when it becomes available. We definitely want to encourage people because there are a lot of moms out there who are dealing with postpartum depression and pressure, and maybe they have that overbearing mother, or maybe they are just trying to figure out their mothering style. So we want to
or maybe
really,
they're a single mom doing it by
maybe,
themselves, because it's pressure with the husband
or
with
single
a
dad,
dad.
you know,
Right.
or single
Absolutely.
dad. So
we're going to talk about that too.
you know, so please share the replay, share the live. Also, if you haven't liked Elev8 Radio and you want more of these conversations, please like Elev8 Radio. We're up to 350 likes, which is amazing, and it's all organic, which is amazing. The big producer, Mr. Alexander, said this is the best show yet. So
thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Yes. So thank you to our guests for coming in, and so
thank you for everyone joining us.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you guys for staying in. So people are like, we're still here. So
thank you. Thank you for participating in the conversation.
Yes. So we love the feedback. We love when you talk back to us. So you can talk back at inthedivaden@gmail.com. inthedivaden@gmail.com. You can give us feedback. You can give us suggestions for topics, suggestions for guests. We kind of do have a plan for the next, for the rest of this month and for next month, but we still will welcome any feedback that you guys have.
Yes.
And then also you can find us on Instagram at, what is it? The Diva Den Live.
The Diva Den Live. Yes.
LIVE, the Diva Den Live. So we are, wrapping up, and, you guys can continue the conversation. If you're watching the replay, we hope that, we can engage with you on the replay. And, I think that does it for us.
All right. Well, thank you again. And I just pray God's richest blessings over each of you, all of our mothers that are not only in the studio, but that are watching or will watch. Mothering is hard, and not to take anything away from the dads, but this month is motherhood. We're going to get to the dads, but it is hard. So I just pray that His grace will abound in your lives as you continue on this journey.
Amen.
Thank you all so much. Have a great night and a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Good night.
Good night.